Hi there. Thanks for participating in the Community Art Quilting Project to celebrate Black History Month. So I'm going to take you through a few creative suggestions and directions. We've got them posted on the website to help you create your own singular and unique quilting square. Come on around and I'll show you what we've got. So here is a baggie. This is going to look a lot like the baggie you pick up. It's got a bunch of assorted fabric scraps, some ribbon, maybe a little bit of trim. The most important part of it is this sort of anchor or base fabric square. This is going to be the base for your quilt square. All right. We encourage you to use, of course, any found fabric scraps or other textiles you've got laying around your house. Another great thing to bring into your quilt square would be buttons. If you have any buttons laying around the house, those are really fun to add dimension and texture to your quilt square. If you check out the website, you're going to see that we have four suggested themes for the quilt squares. They are kindness. Those can be any symbols or words of kindness. There is one for future. It could be about future acts that you plan to do. There is a portrait theme. Perhaps there's an interesting historical figure you've learned about recently you'd like to showcase on your quilt square. And there's also the freedom squares, any words or symbols that you think represent freedom. I'm going to show you an example right now of the kindness square. So you can see I've just got my base quilt piece in the back. I've cut out a couple hearts, fabric hearts, and I've started to sew one here with good old-fashioned needle and thread, which you can certainly use. Another option, which is a little bit easier for smaller hands or younger hands of makers, is to use some fabric fusion glue. That's great because it sticks the pieces together and keeps it sort of textile based. So you can do that. You can put your little cutout appliques on your square. One thing to keep in mind, try to keep a little bit of a border going around your whole quilt piece, because as these are put together by our volunteer sewers who are going to sort of put together the entire quilt for us, they're going to need a little bit of extra space on the edge of your square. So try to keep that in mind. So that could be an example of a kindness square. Over here, we have an example of a freedom square. And what we did here is we're sort of taking one of the designs that was used from quilt squares back in the time of the Underground Railroad. It's a really simple design. This sign, this design with the four squares, symbolizes crossroads. Another thing you could certainly use is fabric markers, fabric markers. So you could even, if you chose to, perhaps, write the name Crossroads, which is what this particular design actually symbolizes, crossroads. Here's another great option I'm going to show you. And this option is perhaps there's an inspirational quote that you really like. You could write that also on a piece of white fabric, and you could frame it with some ribbon, maybe a couple buttons. However you think it could work, that, sew that on, glue that on, and there's a wonderful quilt square too that could be, that's a great piece that could be included in the community quilt. So keep it fun, keep it original, make it yours, and enjoy this project. And thanks again for participating.